The masked figure has finally got his hands on Coco, and he is holding her unconscious body in his arms. Qifrey is right there. He came through the seal. He found the girls. He pulled a got out of the wind current, and he still wasn't fast enough. Coco is not visible to him, and neither is the figure. The figure doesn't run. He doesn't hide. He looks down at Coco and tells her she has done well, that he's been waiting for this, that he will teach her the things Qifrey cannot, and then he hands her back, like he's returning something he borrowed. This is how Chapter 7 of Witch Hat Atelier ends, and it should bother you. What's up, everyone? This is your girl Mel with Mel Otaku Talk, and today I am back in the world of Witch Hat Atelier with Chapters 6 and 7. And if you thought Chapter 5 left things in a complicated spot, buckle up. We left off with 4 apprentices lost in an alley that wasn't in Cal anymore and a dragon above their heads. Chapter 6 and 7 are what happens next, and the dragon turns out to be the least of their problems. These chapters do something right away that puts the readers in an intense position, but also the girls as well. The story puts every girl in real danger and let us watch who each one actually is when the floor drops out. Tetia breaks first. The fear comes out before she can stop it. She says, "I can't die yet," that she hasn't made a single spell worth being remembered for. And then she trails off mid-sentence. Why did she have to get dragged into this? She doesn't finish it, but the panel does. Her eyes go to Coco, and Coco's wide eyes come back at her, so they basically met each other's gaze. That unfinished sentence lands on Coco like it was completed. Tetia catches herself and puts her hand over her mouth, but the damage is already done. Coco felt every word of what wasn't said, and that is exactly when a god steps into the gap. She doesn't panic. She steadies Tetia with a firm word. She assigns roles without hesitation to the girls and is already moving before anyone else has processed what just happened. Here's what I want you to notice. Before any of this started, a god was already carrying prepared spells in her choir, sigils ready to cast, ring just needing to be closed. She didn't improvise those in the moment. She came prepared because she always comes prepared. This is not a small detail. This is character. Tetia draws a levitation spell or sigil, coupled with signs of dancing puppets, closes the ring, and her cloak soars into the air on its own. A flying puppet of diversion, pulling the dragon's attention away from the group. Richie works on the wall without fanfare. No visible fear, no hesitation, just precision. The contrast between Tetia's panic and Richie's steadiness in the same sequence tells you everything about how differently these girls are built. But then a Got's wall breaker seal gets interrupted. Mid-draw, Coco reaches toward her, trying to point at something, and breaks her concentration. The seal is ruined. Before a Got can redirect, Richie has already stepped in and finished the hole herself. Nobody asked. She just handled it. And then a god turns on Coco. She names every mistake directly. The labyrinth, the rune seal, Coco's mother, all of it laid out at Coco's feet. We have to understand this is an intense moment for all 4 of the apprentices. A god continues. She tells Coco that if she could grasp just how unschooled and uninformed she is, she'd do everyone a favor and quit trying. And Coco says nothing back. There's a hush. Coco absorbs every word in silence, and that silence is its own kind of response. She doesn't argue. She doesn't defend herself. She kind of just sits with it for a moment. Let's shift scenes for a moment because, of course, the story does. Qifrey is already on the move, and we know at the end of Chapter 5, or doing points in Chapter 5, he noticed the absence of the girls. So while the girls are trapped, Qifrey is on a bell tower in Cal searching for them. He's looking from above to determine, if they are in this place or trying to locate them in some fashion. His conversation with Tyler confirms something important. He never expected the brim caps to come for Coco directly. He figured keeping her close might lead to a clue. He did not figure she would become a target. Not this quick, not in this way, not this soon. That distinction matters. Qifrey is not operating with complete information, and the people he's trying to track are already several moves ahead of him. Now, it is the brush buddy that Coco brought back from the Dada range that leads Qifrey down an alley where the girls disappeared. And let's just say this is the first time that the Brush Buddy is actively in the story and changing and helping out in pieces of this story. As a reminder, the creature is drawn to the scent of conjuring ink, and that's why it is able to locate the alley as well. Let's go back to what's happening with the girls in the labyrinth. The girls have been going in circles. The labyrinth, we know, is a spell. It's getting dark and cold. And Tetia is on the ground with her knees pulled up and her head in her hands. Coco takes off her cloak and wraps it around her. The cloak is armor. For Coco, that's how she refers to her cloak. Coco describes it exactly that way to Tetia. It made her feel safe even when she was shaking underneath. It hid the fear from the outside world, let her stand like a confident witch when she didn't feel like one on the inside. So what Coco basically did was took off her cloak because Tetia had originally used her cloak, as we know, as the decoy for the dragon. So Coco shared her cloak with Tetia as Tetia was cold. And this is what she hands to Tetia, not just warmth, the thing that made even Coco feel like she belonged in this world. Tetia asked her, like, why are you sharing your cloak with me? And Coco basically says, we're going to need you and your magic a lot more than my uninformed, useless me. She says that about herself out loud to the girl whose unfinished sentence she had been carrying since the dragon showed up. Tetia cast her dream spell. Now, Tetia has been working on a spell, and let's take a look at this spell. It's a warmth cloud she's been developing since childhood, never perfected, but real enough. It wraps around both of them, and sitting inside of it, Tetia apologizes to Coco, not just for what she said out loud, but for what she felt and showed before she even opened her mouth. Coco tries to let her off the hook. Tetia cuts her off and basically says she refuses to take the easy way out or the easy exit Coco is offering. Whether I said it out loud or not, she tells her I felt it and I showed it. And I basically said it. Coco takes her hands and tells her the spell is everything that she was supposed to be scared for her life, and now she feels completely relaxed and warm. Just when she thinks magic can't get any more amazing, this happens. So again, basically, Coco is enjoying the magic, Tetia's spell, and then Tetia hands Coco her cloak back to her and basically says it's hers to keep it until the day we all put on new cloaks. This panel that follows shows their hats basically thrown in the air, so it's almost like a forward look to their graduation or till when they become witches. Now, in this dream cloud, Coco and, of course, Tetia are in there having a conversation. Agat and Richie joined them both. Agat added some explanation on how the dream cloud could be improved, and then at this point, we are somewhere headed into chapter 7, and this dream cloud becomes the center of their focus. Basically, Tetia's spell becomes the center of their focus on how to now deal with the dragon. So, chapter 7 opens with the plan, and I must say this is Coco's plan. So, Coco's plan is to use Tetia's dream cloud, built large enough for a dragon, should make it comfortable enough to stop the dragon from moving. So, they want to basically almost like put the dragon into a light slumber or make it so comfortable until it doesn't want to move off of Tetia's dream cloud because we know that it's warm. Agat is a little skeptical about this, but she says directly to Coco and Tetia that she doesn't think that this is the kind of spell for the situation that they're in. Coco does push back. She makes the argument that the purpose of magic is to bring happiness to everyone. If this works, nobody gets hurt. Not them, not the dragon. That lands on Agat. She changes her position. She agrees to help. And the moment she does, she takes complete ownership of the problem. She brings ideas nobody else had. Each girl contributes based on their specialty. Richie draws the small, precise seal needed to grind the walls into fine sand. Fast, exact, no wasted motion. And I'll have to say, Coco did sit this one out. Agat did not assign her anything. Tetia designs the transport. Agat works out the bonding solution, which was one of the suggestions she gave to Tetia when she and Richie entered the cloud themselves. And Agat tells Coco basically, like I said, to hang back. She doesn't have any skill to draw at this point the way they need it, precise and fast at the moment. Coco is very responsive and she does understand. She does say, "Hey, I'm just going to watch and learn from you guys." Coco's finding a way to still contribute within her limits that she's been given. She watches, like I said, she studies how a god traces each ring in the air before committing to paper. She asks herself why she's never thought about doing that. When she started, and she practices quietly on her own over and over while the other three girls hit a wall, try to figure out a solution, especially for the bonding solution piece so that the cloud could stay intact. Coco decides to practice her Powerball seals, and she's doing it with repetition. Anytime she messes up, she starts with a new piece of paper with practicing the Powerball seals. And Tetia notices that she finally got the Powerball seal. She looks at Coco and she notices that she finally accomplished the Powerball seal, and Coco is excited as well. And she said she was able to do it, by just practicing it over and over again while they were busy. And the god turns around and looks at the floor around Coco and noticed that the floor is covered in practice sheets, and that Coco was able to accomplish this through repetition. And that actually becomes the answer to what a god needs to secure the dream cloud so that the dragon doesn't sink into it. So it gives her the idea that the seal that's needed for the cloud is a spell of repetition. Whenever shape the dragon takes or whatever it pushes into, it will bounce back and the dragon will still stay up on the serpent's bed. So they were able to get this accomplished. Agat was able to leverage the idea of repetition from Coco practicing the Powerball seal, and of course, Agat names this particular spell the serpent bed of sands. So none of this could have worked without the four girls. The four girls had to come together. Each one of them contributed in their own way. And the chapter makes sure that we feel the difference between like a lot of different things. Like Coco contributed the idea and the observation that cracked the solution open. She just couldn't contribute to the pen stroke, but each one of the girls contributed in their own way. So, what does the outcome look like? Well, the outcome looks like this. The dragon is asleep or at least lounging on the cloud bed, and the girls are able to now run to find the seal on the pillar. One of them strikes the pillar or basically basically erases piece of the seal, and then the magic starts to release on the seal. It's almost, I guess it's transport magic or transportation magic, whatever you want to call it. And it's like a gush of magic starts to happen, looks more like wind. And on the other side, Qifrey is in the alley working the same area that the spell was cast as well to pull them in. And what happens when this gust of magic happens, almost like a gust of wind, Qifrey comes through from the other side. And of course, in this current of magic, Agat is getting caught up. And so he was able to catch her before she got swept away. Now, all the girls are present except for Coco as this gust of magic is happening. And Qifrey immediately notices that Coco is absent. So he says, "Where's Coco?" And here we go with the brim cap figure. Coco is being held by the brim cap figure in the brim cap figure's arm, and let's say in his arm. Now, Keyfree cannot see Coco or the brim cap figure, and Coco appears to be unconscious in the brim cap figure's arm. And what we know is that he is speaking to her. He tells her that he's been waiting for a long time for his seed to sprout. He asks if his task made her feel strong. He says he will teach her what Keyfree cannot. Now, at this point, like I said, she appears to be unconscious in his arm or in a slumber. And then he says he almost forgot and sends her home with a little gift. It's almost like he released her and she floats up and disappears. And before we know it, they're back in the alley. Keyfree has all the girls to include Coco, but Coco's laying on the ground in a slight sleep. And then all of a sudden she wakes up. And when Coco wakes up, she's surrounded by the girls, Qifrey, and the first thing Qifrey asks is whether her memory was still intact and whether, the brim cap wiped her memory. So this is one of his thoughts. She tells him that she's fine, that things were hazy, upon waking up, but she remembers everything, the masked witch, the dragon, all of it. And then she goes into an apologetic mode to all of them. Kiefer's response is to hand Mr. Noah a piece of the cobblestone stone with a partial seal on it on the back and ask him to identify the ink components and to tell no one. Of course, Mr. Noah is thrown off about this because anytime the brim caps are involved, um, the Knights of Morales has to be informed, but Qifrey does not want that to happen. Qifrey is somewhat working outside of official channels, running his own investigation quietly, and now there's physical evidence in the hands of, him, as well as being able to possibly identify the conjuring ink that was used at the same time. And these are my final thoughts at the end of chapter 6 and 7, or my cumulative thoughts. Before they leave, Qifrey does something quiet and specific. He places Coco's pointed hat back on her head, and with his hand still there, he tells her that one's ideas are just as crucial to magic as one's skill with the pen, that her mind masters as much as her hands. That hat goes on as the word comes out. It is the right thing to say at the right moment. It is exactly what the arc earned. But here's the thing, the masked figure said something close to that in his own way. He watched Coco build a plan from nothing, contribute something no one else in the labyrinth could have contributed, and get her team home. He saw it all. Of course, we know the brim cap was watching. He's been watching her develop since the day he sold her the picture book at the festival. Two people see Coco potential clearly. Qifrey sees a student whose mind should flourish alongside her hands. The masked figure sees a seed that sprouted exactly the way he planned. They're not looking at different things. They're looking at the same girl for completely different reasons, and Coco has no idea. This is the tension Volume 2 is carrying forward, and Chapter 6 and 7 just made it real in a way Chapter 5 could only promise. If you are reading Witch Hat Atelier ahead of the spring 2026 anime season, you're already getting a taste of what this story is capable of. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like, subscribe, and comment for more manga coverage. Let me know in the comments what stood out for you regarding Chapter 6 and 7, whether it was the moment Tetia handed the cloak back, the serpent bed coming together, or that final look at the brim cap figure's confidence when it comes to Coco. I'll meet you at the next Pointed Hat discussion. Above all, let's keep talking manga. Thanks for stopping by, and thanks for watching.